after the war between Israel and Hezbollah ended in November 2024, there have been rapid changes on the domestic political front.
So there's an entirely new balance of power today, and I think that we need to grasp all the elements of this new equation.
After more than 2 years of there not being a president and only a caretaker government in place in Lebanon, Lebanon's parliamentarians finally elected a new president, the army commander Joseph Aoun, and also very soon after designated a new prime minister, Nawaf Salam, who was formerly the International Court of Justice president. Both the new president and prime minister have committed themselves to a reform agenda, and they have received the confidence and backing of almost all of the major political parties in Lebanon, including Hezbollah. However, while Hezbollah has shown a greater flexibility than before in relation to political appointments in Lebanon, it could be a very different question as to what Hezbollah's attitude is towards disarmament.
I think that Hezbollah now is still in a period of mourning and of denial. I think they are also very carefully assessing the state of their own forces and the remaining structure.
The ceasefire deal that was agreed between Israel and Lebanon in November 2024 called for the disarmament of non-state armed actors in Lebanon, including, and obviously, Hezbollah. However, Hezbollah has repeatedly said that it only intends to comply with the ceasefire agreement and with disarmament in relation to the area south of the Litani River in Lebanon, which is the region along the Lebanese-Israeli border. Whereas its military assets elsewhere in the country, it says it will not surrender. There are three main competing visions. So Hezbollah and its allies prefer minimal disarmament, which involves withdrawing assets from the area close to the Lebanese-Israeli border, but maintaining them in the rest of the country.
والاستراتيجية الدفاعية مثل ما قلنا هذا موضوع ما له علاقة بنزع سلاح أو سحب سلاح، لا، له علاقة مثل ما قال الرئيس، هو مناقشة المستويات الدبلوماسية والاقتصادية والعسكرية في سياسة دفاعية متكاملة.
The second vision insists on Hezbollah's swift disarmament and swift transition to becoming another political party that doesn't have its own weapons stockpile.
وصلنا لوقت مقتنعين بدنا نكون دولة فعلية، بدك ما يضل سلاح إلا عند الجيش اللبناني، لشو كل هالتأخير وكل هالتمييع وكل هالمعادلات كلها تضيع وقت.
And then in the middle, there's a third vision, which is for Hezbollah to disarm, but gradually. And rather than forcing disarmament on Hezbollah, for the government and the Lebanese army to work with Hezbollah to find an arrangement that the party finds acceptable, which also reduces the risks of confrontation. Obviously, the most concerning scenario from a conflict perspective would be if there is a clash between the vision of minimal disarmament, which Hezbollah believes in, and the vision of swift disarmament, which its opponents subscribe to.
The executive power, the president, maybe the prime minister also should engage in a discreet back-channel discussion with Hezbollah and with the patrons of Hezbollah about the inevitability of this process. This has to be accompanied by a political discussion with Hezbollah, with the Shia tandem, and with the Shia community that also probably will have a problem of representation with the next election. So what I think we should avoid, and I hope we'll avoid it, is to reach a stage where some clashes will start to occur between the army and the other party, be it Hezbollah itself or the public of Hezbollah, on the issues of reconstruction, social issues, etc.
There are things the international community can do to assist Lebanon in this delicate phase in its history. First of all, it's very clear that the international community can use its best efforts to make sure that the ceasefire holds. In particular, Washington could impress upon Tel Aviv the importance of ending its occupation in southern Lebanon, which at present risks undermining the authority of the Lebanese army and bolstering Hezbollah's narrative that it needs to retain weapons to maintain armed resistance against Israel. The United States can also push the Israeli army to reduce its airstrikes and other attacks in Lebanon, which it says are justified under the ceasefire agreement. And of course, the United States can work with the Lebanese army to find ways to work alongside Hezbollah to peacefully work towards disarmament and compliance with the agreement. The Lebanese army plays the central role, really, implementing the ceasefire agreement, in addition to playing an irreplaceable role in containing domestic tensions within Lebanon, which it has played for decades. At the same time, since Lebanon's economic crisis took hold in October 2019, the Lebanese army has been operating on a shoestring budget.
The Lebanese army will have to be reinforced. The deployment in the south, for example, needs something like 12 to 14,000 troops. Today they are only 6,000 or 7,000. But this has already been factored in the ceasefire agreement. We have a limited window of opportunity in order to put the Lebanese House in order. And here we have also another time frame that is constraining, which is the legislative elections to come. In less than a year from now, Lebanon will be completely living in a mode of electoral campaign, so things have to be done before.
Even though Lebanon has just endured devastating war and has emerged with fragile tensions that still exist, the reality is that there's cause for cautious optimism in Lebanon. There are reasons to be excited about the potential of this new executive in Lebanon. So the new president, Aoun, and the new prime minister, Nawaf Salam, might represent a new style of leadership that's capable of tackling the country's multifaceted crises.